Be live soon.
All right, I see the little thing. All right, hi everyone. Welcome to the Node.js tooling meeting for January 22nd. I guess let's just jump right into the agenda. I cleaned up some old like meeting note issues, but we should definitely clean up some of these other agenda issues as well.
You know, on that note, sorry to interrupt. I would love to get like some some tooling in, and I know that what is it, PKG.js has been working on some like HackMD integration and whatnot. Sorry about the noise. That would be awesome. But
Wes actually made there's an open PR I think in the tooling group to add some of it, but it doesn't do everything that we want quite yet.
Okay.
There was, I think there's a note there. There's something that he was waiting on.
Okay, I'll ping him again. I think I pinged him before the end of the year about it. I deal with this at the CPC and try to help with the community committee, and I think I even had a PR open for tooling notes. So it's like it drives me a little crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. It could definitely be better. It also kind of annoys me that the agenda issue gets created a week in advance of the meeting, or like 5 days. I don't know, a very last minute kind of person. So usually would be like adding things even today. So yeah, maybe we can tweak that so it's like the day before or something.
I was thinking about that the other day because the CPC meetings get created on a Monday, which is good because we meet on a Tuesday. And I always thought that it was just like the day before, but then I noticed the ComCom meeting or something was also, it may be like on Monday, it just creates all the meetings. I don't know.
Right.
So we can maybe look into that, or maybe just figure out this other tooling solution.
Yeah.
Work from there.
Yeah, anyways, I think we can be better.
I like HackMD. We've been using it for another meeting I've been having. It's pretty slick.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Prefer it.
Okay. I guess the first thing on the agenda is the recursive copy issue. I did, open a proper issue in the tooling repo, and I linked up the RFC that I put together. Did anyone have a chance to look at that?
I've looked at it, but I don't have much.
I mean, I think that the next step there would probably be to like open an issue on the main repo. So I guess if it's good enough, like if we're comfortable with doing that, then I guess, that would be the next thing to do. See what kind of feedback we get there.
What was your complete, are you thinking of vendoring something? Sorry, I'm a little behind.
Yeah, I guess that was, I didn't actually have like a, like here is the proposed solution that I want. I do think we should vendor something. I looked at a couple of the existing packages and it's like, much like RimRaf, it's like way more complicated than you would think it is. So probably makes sense to use something that's from the community that's like, been used heavily already. But there are a couple options for that too. So it kind of, we would need to pick one, and it might involve some discussions with people that work on those projects as well.
Yes, I was thinking just the FS Extra people were really involved when we were doing the RimRaf stuff. And so it might be, I think I've mentioned this before, but maybe starting by engaging them just because we know they're active might be smart. Ryan's in.
Well, you're kind of breaking up there.
Yeah, who were you talking about?
He mentioned the FS Extra people. Does FS Extra? Oh yeah, I guess it does. It is one of the ones that I had on my list.
Yep.
I think that they're probably like the most obvious choice. So yeah, maybe that's a good. Maybe we open the issue and then that's a way to get the conversation started with them.
I think 2 of the contributors to FS Extra were giving us feedback on RimRaf at one point. I think Ryan Zim and maybe one other person. So.
Yeah, okay. So I guess, yeah, like I said, as far as the RFC, like whenever we're comfortable with sharing that more broadly, we can do that. Do you think we should have like a proposed implementation before we do that?
I mean, I don't think we've made a lot of progress from your draft RFC. So maybe we just kind of invite them in now and start to kind of talk more about it, or you think it's still too premature?
I mean, for me, I think the only question is like, do we want to propose an implementation along with this, or do we leave it open-ended and see what kind of feedback we get?
I mean, if we're bringing them in for, their input, perhaps earlier isn't a bad thing,
Yeah, I agree. The approach I've taken whenever we're vendoring something too is to like talk to the person we're thinking about vendoring first, so it doesn't just feel like we've copied their code, like make them part of the process.
Yeah, good point.
So I talked to Isaac, like when we were doing RimRef, I talked to Isaac, and we did talk to, I think I even did talk to Substack when we were doing McDerp too. So
yeah.
Anyways, I think that's a good approach.
Okay. Yeah, I can try and reach out to them. Hopefully they're on one of the various Slacks. Okay, yeah, I guess that seems like a good next step. And then after that, maybe open the issue in the main repo.
That sounds good.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else they want to mention there? Nope. All right. Let's see. We have foreign function interface still on the list. I know basically nothing about that. That was, I think, Brian English. I think we had talked last time about trying to get some of those people back to the meetings.
Yeah, I think no one took that action item. So why don't we just someone prod Brian English?
I'll message him right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like him and Corey. I think you know him, right, Ben?
Yeah, I'll reach out to Corey. I'll reach out to him right now as well, actually.
All right. Yeah, because there's at least one thing on here that he was sort of most interested in. Okay, so we'll skip foreign function interface. chmod-r we have on here also. What?
No update. I think I was the last to touch this, and I think also I sort of punted on this after like some of the recursive stuff that you've been doing and like sort of kick back off. So I haven't had time for sure to pick this up. So I'm not sure if it makes sense to get somebody else involved if we want to actually move forward with this.
We could potentially just like back burner it for now, leave the issue open, but take it off the agenda, and
yeah,
that's kind of my gut. And unless we have someone who's like really wants to champion it and be like, like if it would make npm run faster because you can make one call, you can turn what was 50 calls into one call, then that would be interesting. Like if we could find a candidate who needs it, I think that'd be good.
I think there's other optimizations at this point, but yeah, I think I think we just backlog this, unfortunately, for now.
Yeah, I'm okay with that as well. Okay, next on the list is ESM module reloading. I saw some activity around this in one of the various GitHub repos recently. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? I barely know what I'm talking about.
So say that one more time, Ian.
There has been some activity around this topic in one of the, maybe like in the not the modules group, another group. I've been getting a lot of GitHub notifications related to it. So it seems like it's, you know, a topic of discussion or something that's on people's minds. I don't remember where we left off with this one in the past. Ben, do you?
Yeah, I think we were basically someone wanted to, I had suggested that someone take it on as a research task to see if there's good tooling already in the community, and maybe we could just get rid of the agenda item and point people towards tooling. Comes down to that thing where it's like a problem people have, but there isn't that much adoption of ESM yet. So it might be that we're slightly ahead of the curve, and it would be good for us to recommend something. Or maybe there's something that's already getting popular in the community we can just point people towards if the question comes up. So I mean, people are going to want to keep doing proxy choir and stuff in ESM. So.
I don't know if this is what you're referring to, Ian, but there's a comment from Miles in October from the modules.
It wasn't this issue, no. Although this one is, you know, relevant. But that wasn't the one that I was getting all the notifications for. I wish I had a better. I wish I was better prepared. Yeah, and of course it's not in my notifications today.
What is this
one? Anyways, that's, I guess, not the most important part. Yeah, I guess I just don't really know what. Yeah,
hold on. I found the userland module, I think, that had been shared with us at one point. I think. Or am I wrong?
You know, I saw that in one of the issue comments, Quibble.
Yeah.
Does this work with ES modules though? Oh yeah, here we go. ES module support.
Why don't we put this? Why don't we add this to the issue as like let's dig into this.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good idea.
We'll do that right now. Actually, why don't we loop in the person who wrote Quibble too and see if there's like features that are making it impossible for them to.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Seeing who's written it. Cool. Looks like it's this Cyril's person. Awesome. Okay, I got that. I can take that on right now.
All right. Yeah, that seems like a good next step. Okay. Does anyone have anything else on that topic? Okay. Support for hooking spawn sync. That was one that Corey was interested in, right?
Why would you say?
Yes. Oh, sorry about that. Yes, I think some of this stuff was specific to NYC and how NYC would hook into, like, be able to inject an environment variable when spawning something, which so that you kind of have these sticky environment variables that bubble down to the sub processes. Let me find the actual agenda item. Yeah, that's the hooking spawn and spawn sync. So I don't know. I'd say that's another one where we would be interested to see where Corey landed on this.
Yeah, we can just skip over it for today, and if we get back to one of the meetings, we can discuss that.
Yeah, I know. I think Corey had found a way to do some of it with like loader extensions, because I think loaders can do some of the things that were being done by this idea of kind of a sticky environment variable. So maybe pushing people towards loaders for more things is the right path instead of adding a completely new type of environment variable. So that's kind of where I landed.
All right. And then, yeah, I think the next one was kind of related. Better way to detect a process is exiting.
I think this one's interesting. This is basically process.exit does not trigger for all exit events, which is a pain in the neck as a tooling author. So like you can have process.exit, I think will trigger if the process has exited normally, but not if a signal's been sent that would cause an exit, like it would cause an immediate exit, even if it is a signal that's not caught. So like if you're sending a signal that's going to cause an exit, I believe that process.exit will get no event. So there's not actually there's not a great way to detect exiting.
Right, which is why like Darcy linked the signal exit library. I mean, that's why I guess libraries like this exist, right?
That's why Ben wrote the library or helped contribute to it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, we use signal exit is used for test coverage collection so that you can kind of make sure to dump the test coverage at the very last step. But it's kind of silly to have to do that. It would be nice if there was literally just like a on really going to exit or something that like I think this would be really helpful for tooling.
Right.
I will go so far as saying I will champion that agenda item.
All right.
So I think it'd be super useful.
I know. I know we use a library for exit hooks, which is I think again similar kind of problem. So yeah,
What's it called? Exit hooks.
The one that I use is called async exit hook. I know that's a whole other issue. Doing asynchronous work in at that stage, but.
Oh yeah, it looks like this is identical to signal exit. It just basically handles your sigint and sigterm and sighup and sigbreak and everything.
Yeah, here I'll post a link to the one that I'm referring to.
It's definitely an insider baseball problem, but if you're like creating a telemetry library, or like coverage or diagnostic tooling or whatever, and you want to make sure you dump something at the last minute, it would be nice if you could just do that with one handler and not have to install a library, right, in my opinion. But that's cool. I was looking at that one that you shared, Ian.
Mm-hmm. I have not really dug into how it works in detail because you can't do async work at a certain point in the shutdown cycle. So I don't even know how that works.
Just
I'm afraid to look.
Yeah, like on exit can't do anything that happens on the next tick.
Yeah,
it has to have done stuff in one loop. And you can actually listen on .really exit, I think. Node has two events. They have exit and then really exit, which I'm not joking.
And yeah, before. Really exit doesn't even get everything either.
No.
So you really gonna exit.
I will find it for you here. It's great. It's my favorite Node trivia, I think.
I just love that it doesn't even do the thing properly.
There we go. There's some code that tests it. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like a little bit of a wart on the API surface that maybe I could talk to Joy or someone who knows a little bit more about the system code than me and see if they have an idea of a better design. Because Node dumps a ton of diagnostic stuff at the last minute. Like we dump coverage, we dump diagnostic reports, we dump performance profiles. So there obviously is the ability to hook into the last moment. It's just we haven't exposed it to users. So I think part of it is that concern that you could get Node in a state where it never exits.
Right.
Like if you were to do something like an async exit, there's no guarantee that that async behavior terminates. So, there's no guarantee that the process actually exits, which people are concerned about.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, it's not a simple problem, but it's.
All right. Well, someone noted here that you have volunteered to to take that one up. So.
Yeah. I think of the ones that have kind of shaken out of NYC stuff, I think that's the most obvious quick win for me.
Okay. Next on the agenda is source map v3. Any updates there? Ben?
Sorry, my internet froze there.
Oh.
I'm working on getting the Monkey Brains internet, which is like a good Bay Area provider. But I've been like stuck in my condo board decided to put together an architectural committee to decide if we can put an antenna up. And I'm like, it's infuriating. I assume you were talking about the next agenda item?
Yeah, I was just asking if you had anything on the source map v3 front.
Yes, I'm going to get rid of the 2-line, like I said last meeting, I'm going to get rid of the 2-line error reports that we're doing right now. And if you turn source maps on, it's just going to look identical, but use the source maps. And that's more in line with the TC39 spec. So.
Right. And then I think there was a suggestion to have like a flag maybe to enable the combined version.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll probably make that my next PR to Node because I want to get that work into Node 16, hopefully.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, up next is argument parsing. I saw your Slack message, Joe, about your PR. I've not had a chance to look at it yet.
Yeah, I've got, and I put the notes in the doc already. I've got a PR opened in my own fork of Node against my own master to just kind of start to work through it. Roy had volunteered to implement the bit that he had commented on in the original PR. I also have a hackmd file where I'm just capturing the blocking comments and kind of sorting through things so I can get the work done, but also bring the commentary to a new PR and ping the right people and make sure we get approval and move on. So I'm hoping to get more done there. I spent a little bit of time today sort of doing a little research and getting up to speed a little bit more as well.
That's great. Yeah, it's great to see some progress on that. That'll be a big.
Is the strategy there to as you're doing this like research again, Joe? Is the strategy to like spec this out and design it before coding type thing?
No,
consensus
for my own, for my own knowledge. Some of the stuff that's in the pull request in the doc wasn't totally clear to me, so I was just kind of researching parsing arguments from the command line and stuff. And so all I'm really trying to do is get basically a new PR opened with the same work that was done, because I know there was a lot of effort put into it beforehand, and then a lot of work that Chris did and worked through with the group. So I want to just get it reopened essentially and address some of the blocking concerns and kind of hopefully move it forward from there. I mean, it seemed like it was really close, so I'm hoping we can work through the couple of bumps in the road and then get it wrapped.
I think Chris did put together a design document in a hackmd pad that he worked through with me and Roy, like I want to say almost a year ago. Okay. So we can probably dig that up, and Darcy, if you want to give it a read. I feel like it ended up being a pretty good compromise between a bunch of research. Like it was, Chris looked through every parser that was around, and it was pretty well thought out.
Yeah. I've actually read it quite a bit. Sorry, Joe. It's just, I guess my thought here is just to ensure that there's no more like there's a buy-in from the people that had blockers first on the approach before spending time coding and then opening up a PR and sort of having the back and forth. It's like a little bit easier to go back into and get consensus on the design of the API.
I can talk to the original blockers as well as this group about any implementation and make sure that it's the right path forward. I mean, yeah, I'll definitely do it diplomatically.
I think the biggest one was the exit behavior, right? Whether it should ever throw an exception or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
There's also array versus string. I read through this the other night and spent a lot of time also doing research in here. I think there was also like feedback about whether or not return value could be a string or array. And then also the casting was also a big problem as far as the PR I remember. Was also a big like point of contention in terms of, I've also like kind of dug in here a bit. But yeah, I could probably poke you async, Joe, with some thoughts I had from just like reading back through that history, because I just wanted to,
Yeah, I'd be happy to, if you want to meet, if you want to pair, if you want to just comment in the doc, the HackMD doc I've got, which doesn't have a lot into it, I'd take any help that you would offer.
My experience maintaining YARGs for the last like 7 years now or 6 years has been like, no matter what decision you make, there's gonna be an opposite opinion because it's such a opinionated thing. So I think we should just be careful that we don't let perfect be the enemy of the good, because like there's going to be a dissenting. Like I think an argument parser would be good in core. I think it would help tutorials. I think it would help people who are learning how to code. It would make it easier to make a self-contained application that doesn't have dependencies, so you can just like Node works well on its own. Yeah.
I will, likely defer to this group. I don't really have like a horse in the race. I'm just, kind of trying to just help get it over the finish line. So I'll definitely lean on you all to help figure some of these things out.
I think it will open up some. I'm kind of excited about what it opens up about, like maybe exposing some parts of the Node code base as command line helpers too, so you could just more easily rimref a directory, because we allow rimref to take arguments, and like without even pulling in a dependency, you could just have it as a npm script that runs Node with like a rimref flag or something. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I think we'll open up a lot of cool stuff. I'm excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I like do not care if it's arrays or strings or throws or doesn't throw, like to a certain degree. Right?
Yeah.
It might actually be an important exercise to bring back all that research work we did with the personas that we, the users that we want to service with the API. That might also help with the blockers, explaining better the story behind it.
Yeah, I definitely found it, like, yeah, I agree, right? And I'm thinking like, because we actually don't have that many Node experts in my part of Google, and like when people edit our samples, they have a lot of trouble understanding what YARGs is doing for them, because we used to have YARGs as a dependency. And so it can be confusing because they're like, well, why can't I just pass in an array of things? And we're like, well, that's not how process.argv works. It's a bunch of strings. And I think it's definitely been I see it as greasing the wheels for beginners. I think it would be a really useful feature.
Cool. Yeah, and Chris, put a lot into the description. So there's definitely a lot there. But I don't see a link to the doc that y'all are talking about. I'm looking through the argument parsing issue number 19 in tooling, but
let me see if I can find something on my HackMD history here.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot in this issue too. Wow, I can spend some time here too.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Cool.
Okay, anyone have anything to add on that one?
I'll follow up with Joe. I think I literally did a bunch of splunking and going back in the last year and a half myself, and I really appreciate that Joe's picked up this work, and I want to make sure that it gets through. I know Ben, Roy, and Chris had worked quite a bit in that first phase and never added like my voice into the PR when it was there, and yeah, I would like to see this work get over the finish line.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think this would be a big win. So, does anyone have any new topics?
I perhaps before we get to that, Ben responded and commented in the issue. Let me see if I still have it in my clipboard here. Is it this one? Dang it, where is it? Yeah. So it's short. He just says, just a heads up, this is still something I want to pursue, but don't have a whole lot of time right now. Number two, it should probably be removed from the biweekly agenda unless someone else wants to tackle it. Tangentially, although related to alternative section above, I put together a helper library, fast native FN, to help folks use V8 fast API calls.h when available and still compile when it isn't. So that's an update.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I kind of agree. We can probably just take that off the agenda, maybe leave the issue open.
Corey just responded with essentially the same. He said, feel free to just mark them as stale or kind of not being worked on.
Okay, so we can do that for the maybe hooking spawn sync issue, and then the process exit one, since you're going to pick it up, we'll leave that.
Yeah, I'll champion that one because I think it's super useful.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, any new stuff?
Well, we talked 2 weeks ago about trying to put together like a wider community meeting to try to get feedback on whether we're working on the right stuff for the year. We're trying to put together a Kanban board or something. We have not done that yet. I think we have some great stuff here that's shared by a few folks right now. Like I feel like we could keep busy for quite a few months on this. But it might be interesting. So I might just suggest we put some of the things we're excited about as candidates on a Kanban board, but then let the community suggest some stuff too if they think we're not on the right track, or like if there's some important things we haven't addressed. It might be a good way to approach it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should be kind of presenting our own idea or roadmap, and then yeah, kind of opening that up to feedback versus just asking people what they want to see.
Might also be interesting to kind of codify how we decide what to work on too. Like, you know, we try to pick things that we know have some major stakeholders who would love to have them, and like we haven't done things like FS in a holistic way. We've chosen things that are really impactful that people have requested. So I don't know, maybe just as we think about what we're working on this year, maybe think about how to describe it to the community.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. Especially, I mean, we've talked a little bit about potentially trying to make this a proper working group, or at least discuss the idea. So I mean, definitely stuff like that is a step in that direction as well.
Makes sense to me.
All right.
So, sorry, it's hard to tell without my video on that I'm talking. I apologize. I was going to say, so maybe try to put a stake in the ground as to when we want to get people in for a slightly bigger meeting. Like,
yeah, I think when we talked last time, I'm just looking at my calendar here. 2 weeks ago, we said we were going to do it in a month, but given that we haven't put the roadmap together, I think we should like defer that another couple weeks, because I think the idea was we wanted to put the roadmap out there, like open up an issue, make sure people know about it in advance, have time to contribute their suggestions, etc. So that would put us at February 19th,
I will have had my wisdom teeth out 4 days before that, so I might need more. I might need to
That's a
have
no?
a few more weeks. I think. Well, I won't be talking much, but that could be fine. Like I'll have had a few days to get feeling better.
I think because I think doing it like 2 weeks from now is probably not enough notice.
I agree.
Okay, so we could do. I mean, we could do the 19th, or we could do March 5th. Then is 2 Fridays after that. I guess we can figure that out. Maybe a good exercise over the next between now and the next meeting is like create that board. We can share the link on Slack and add our roadmap suggestions to it.
Is this board like a fun retro board? Because I can do that right now if you want to.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I actually was thinking about that tool. I saw the link in the next 10 years meeting or whatever. And thought that might be a good thing to use.
It is fun. It is a fun.
That makes sense to me.
The name though.
Why don't we make that and then just put the items on there that we're actually kind of actively moving forward right now?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Or stuff we wish we were moving forward that we're not talking about right now. And then why isn't it on the agenda?
I have one.
Issue for it.
Actually, I have two. One, actually, this was your suggestion, Ben. We should work on removing the deprecated rimdir recursive functionality. Because the longer we wait, the harder that's going to become. I think even in the TSC meeting where that was discussed, like I think Michael even said, it's possible this never actually gets removed because it is kind of being used by people already. So I think that's that should be relatively easy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tempted to remove it from 16 so that we have it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know when is the first release of Node 16 scheduled for, like March or something? Let me look. I actually have the Node releases page bookmarked because I refer to it like at least once a week.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Node 16 looks like April-ish of this year, so that gives us a couple months. I think it should be an easy code change, right? It's just removing the code that's deprecated. It's already deprecated in the docs. So yeah, anyways, that's one thing that I think we should do, and I mean I can take that on. And then the other thing I'm afraid to bring up that I wish we were working on is fetch. Are we ever going to get fetch or something like that in Node? I know.
Undici fetch, or what is it?
Yeah, sure. Undici looks great.
Ethan Arrowwood has been working on a fetch implementation on top of Undici, and I feel like that's probably one of the least controversial ways to do it, since Undici will, I think, theoretically be going into Node eventually. So like having our own thing built on top of Undici makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I noticed Undici's in like the Node org.
I think I could be wrong. I think the intent is to eventually put it into Node. I could be very wrong on that, but implementing it in something in Node makes sense.
Yeah, I just Ben, you mentioned like with arg parsing, being able to work without libraries there. Like I was writing a Lambda the other day and needed to hit a URL and didn't really want to set up a whole pipeline and dependencies and all that. And it was a big pain.
I mean, I'm a strong proponent of this. I know it's like people have bounced off of it a few times because it's been proposed throughout the years. I think it's been proposed. So
yeah, I guess sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh no, not at all. It sounds like what Tony is talking about sounds really promising. So
yeah, I guess the question for this group is like, is there anything we can do to help with this effort to move it forward?
Sounds like investigate what's happening around it.
Yeah.
I was scrambling for unmute. I would definitely talk to Ethan Arrowwood and to Mateo, and I think there's someone else, Ronag, I think, is also working on it. Getting the landscape there, and what's happening, and figuring out moving on from there. I think is probably the best bet.
Cool. Okay, I'm just adding that in the notes.
That sounds good, and I mean, maybe we can even just be a mention to them that we think this is a great idea. So if there's any question at all about actually moving it into core, and then if PRs get opened, be positive reviewers on them. And I think that's always really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Even if it's just supporting like that, like anything we can do to help, I would be in favor of.
Sounds good.
Just adding to the notes here too. Deprecate, recursive render. Does anyone have anything else they want to bring up?
Oh, last thing I've been working on for last week, I've been working on npm diff, kind of revived that idea from last year. So I'm wrapping up work on that, and it should probably land next week. So I think especially folks from this group are going to be very interested on it. So yeah, just keep an eye.
Cool, that's great to hear. I still want to know when overrides is coming to NPM.
Quarter or two, or quarter-ish, like end of quarter, early next quarter.
All right, that's good to know.
When can I just publish? When can I publish from GitHub? As long as we're just asking for all the things we want.
I mean,
I'll
you
join
can
the
publish from
NPM.
GitHub today. What are you talking about? I'm pretty sure there's this great action. There's this great like workflow that I've seen on the marketplace that was written by this eco character. That yeah.
I'll join the NPM meetings 1 week. I'm sorry. You don't need to hijack this one.
Okay, anyone have anything else?
I created just point of order. I guess I created the retro board. If you'd like to add tickets for the existing roadmap that we have, we can circle back on this board and expose it to other folks if we think we want to get their feedback, and we can use this in the future larger group meeting.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, I think that's an action for all of us, like over the next week or something. Let's try and get our stuff on there, and then maybe we open up an issue for when we want to have the meeting, and link to the board. All right, anyone have anything else?
No, it's it for me.
All right. All right, well, thanks for coming, everyone. Have a good weekend. Talk to you soon.